Town of Bucksport's YouTube channel. This would be a great opportunity for you to, if you haven't already, put your cell phone on silent, or just so that it doesn't ring. And the Public Safety Director has a excuse. Roll call, Kelly.
Deputy Mayor Eastman.
Here.
Councillor Tarian.
Here.
Councillor Hare.
Here.
Mayor Bissonnette.
Here.
Councillor Rabs.
Here.
Councillor Doty.
Here.
Councillor Rankin.
Here.
Thank you. We do not have any presentations or town council recognitions this evening. We do need to consider the minutes of previous meetings, and that is from our council meeting on January the 8th. I will assume everyone's had a chance to review those.
Just a couple of amendments that
Please.
Councillor Doty had pointed out that she abstained from her resignation from the planning board and the approval of the minutes on that meeting. So these would just need to be approved with those amendments.
Hearing that, what would what's the pleasure?
Motion to approve with the proposed amendments. Second.
Second, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We have several reports this evening. The first is we do have an Orland police call on January the 10th. Any questions? The next is we have a report from the Finance and Investments Committee.
Yeah, so we had a full agenda tonight. We reviewed the quarterly financial reports, and we also reviewed the capital improvement fund balance reserves and came up with some recommendations moving forward that'll be coming back to Finance Committee and Council later on in the year. We also moved a recommendation to Council tonight to update the animal shelter contract, and we moved to Council a recommendation also to adopt the animal control services agreement with the town of Verona Island, and we moved a resolve to Council for the town dock and marina docking rate increase. And we adjourned.
Any questions for Councilor? We also have a report from the Services Committee. Councilor Rankin.
We have 2 vacancies in the planning board, one ending in March 31st this year, 2026, and one ending in March 31st, 2028. And we are suggesting to appoint Max Corwin for the March 31st, 2026, and Melissa Osborne for the March 31st, 2028.
Questions? All right, thank you. Discussion items. We have an update from the Buck Memorial Library. Mr. Knobloch is here. Come on up, Doug.
Hello, good evening. I see my teleprompter isn't working, so you'll have to just bear with me. Most of you here know me. For those of you who don't, I'm Doug Knobloch. I'm president of the Board of Trustees of the Buck Memorial Library, the huge building on the other side of the street. I'm really just here. You all have handouts, and for those of you who are viewing remotely or whatever, all this information is available on our website at bucklibrary.org. So anybody who wants to see these numbers who doesn't have it in front of them, it's available that easily. I'm just here to, obviously, what we've accomplished in 2025 is what you've got in front of you. And I feel it's really necessary to come and express our appreciation to you folks for supporting us with this, because with what you've allocated, the taxpayers have made this happen. This isn't just about us here. This is about all the taxpayer. This is taxpayer dollars who has helped to make all this happen. And personally, I'm pretty proud of this. I think we've come a long way. If you're looking at the numbers there in a short period of time, they're accurate. They're not fudged to make us look better than we really are. We've gone over that, and I promise this would be really short. So if you have any questions that I can possibly answer for you, fire away. Please keep them really simple.
That's why I'm in the room.
Other than that, just pretend you're reading them, so I feel good that I,
Any questions from the council?
Nope.
Public.
okay, thank you all for your support, and hopefully we can go forward and do better even next year.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Doug.
Doug.
Thank
Thank
you. Just one
Thanks,
comment,
Lisa.
it does look like the reader, the registered patrons in terms of how it's breaking down. I'm going from memory here, but there are several communities where the number has really come up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, there are, and, I think that can be part of our discussion at
Okay.
at the next time, because we have recognized this and are in the midst of making plans to address some of those numbers and the differences in the numbers, but if it's okay with you, tonight is just about a thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so now should I walk away, or should I hang out for a
No,
while
you're
longer?
good, Doug. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, both you and Lisa. Yep. We do not have any public hearings this evening, nor do we have any new ordinances to consider. We have a number of agenda items, and I would like to, mostly so I don't forget, I would like the council to, before we get rolling into the agenda items, there is an item that's being requested for our consideration this evening that is not on the agenda, and it was discussed in committee earlier. And so I would like to entertain a motion to approve considering resolve number 2026-97 around the town dock and marina dockage fees this evening.
Motion to add resolve number to 2026-97.
Second.
Motion second, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, now, resolve 2026-91, setting the rate of interest for delinquent sewer bills. So the information was included in your packet. The council like to proceed?
Motion approved.
Second.
Questions?
Just some information, Mr. Mayor, that this is something that the council does on a yearly basis in January. It's been at 4% for as long as I have worked for the town. This would be continuing it at 4%.
Public? Council?
Do we have to raise it for the people that are having problems with their property taxes? If they may be having problems with their sewer bill as well, so if we compound it with the interest rate, isn't that going to cause even more hardship with them?
Oh, we're not raising it though.
But no, I mean, it's.
No, I think I'm not trying to talk for you, but you're saying it becomes additive.
Right,
They've got so many percent because they're behind on taxes, and now adding on to that will be an additional 4% because they're on, it
compounds.
becomes additive, yeah.
And I think that's a discussion for the council as a whole. You can charge as much or as little for interest on this, so that's really something that the council needs to weigh in on. Like I said, it's
Well, on the tax side of things, you agreed to have people come into the office and see what kind of an arrangement could be worked out with them, so.
that did not involve waiving, the council voted to waive interest on property taxes this year, but did not give me the authority to say, you know, yes, you have to pay interest, no, you
okay.
don't have to
All
pay.
right, yeah,
That puts
yeah,
me
yeah. Yeah, you're right.
in a
I
very
get it.
difficult spot, so,
We didn't waive it, we
you
postponed
postponed
it.
it,
Postponed
correct,
it, yeah.
correct, yeah.
I think there's also the problematic one thing that I think we should consider is part of that understanding, I think, at least I haven't talked with Councilor Doty, but understanding where she's coming from is this. You would have to consider the argument that somebody would come into the office and say the following to the town manager. So my neighbor is behind on their property taxes and therefore doesn't have to pay interest on their sewer bill. Are you suggesting that I fall behind on my property taxes so I don't have to pay interest on my sewer bill too? I understand how that sounds, and I also understand the likelihood of that actual conversation. But I do think it has to be considered that we're putting the town manager in the conversation to play, for lack of a better reference, to play Solomon. Which we really tried to stay away from when we had this conversation last fall. I think I know what Councilor Doty's trying to accomplish in terms, but I think the conversation would be the interest rate for everyone, not just a subset of people. Just for that reason, the practicality of it itself.
Changing gears, but on the same subject, about sewer bills. So you-
Sure.
Okay. There's a document, a neighboring town has published what they call an official letter for that municipality. And one of the paragraphs in there address sewer bills to increase. And they go on to report in this paragraph that sewer account runs separately from their general budget and is now seriously in the red. So if that's the case, will this 4% apply to them, or
This has
how are
nothing-
they handling it?
This has nothing to do with what that community is
Okay.
facing. Totally different set of circumstances.
Okay.
We do have a motion in a second. We'll do the action on that. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Resolve 2026-92, approving the sewer commitment for the period of October 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Yep. Resolve 2026-93, approving the animal shelter agreement for stray pets for use with contracting municipalities.
Motion approved.
Second.
Questions?
Just, again, you did speak at the committee level of talking about increasing the fee from the $2.30, which was what was proposed, and increasing that for, miscellaneous reserve purposes. And so if you want to do that, now would ideally be the time to do that, to amend the agreement to reflect that change.
But these communities have already seen more than a doubling of.
I would like to keep it flat this year with just this base increase. And then I think, to Councilor Rabb's point at committee, I think it makes sense to look at it that way. But I think in order not to put other municipalities in a cliff, to add that this year with such a big increase, I think would be hardship.
The amount, though, that we're gonna charge is just gets us to a break-even point.
Right, yeah.
And going the additional 20 cents to a household of 4 people means adding 80 cents
Oh.
onto the bill. So, and it isn't gonna create a massive
Yeah.
reserve. I think the number I heard earlier was
$6,623.
$6,000-ish. That would create a reserve for emergencies or whatever for the folks at the animal shelter.
Okay.
So I'm of the opinion that we go with the extra 20 cents right now, that it's not gonna
Yeah.
break the bank, but give the animal
Withdraw my
shelter.
motion.
I think I'm inclined to, I'd make a motion for it with the adjustment to $2.50.
I'll second that.
And the intent, just for my clarification, that the intent is for 20 cents of that to be put into the animal shelter reserve.
Yes,
Yes.
That's your motion.
that's my motion.
Okay.
I'm sticking to it.
That's your second. All right.
I appreciate the conversation though, because it is a
Same,
good.
yeah, I appreciate the math.
Yeah.
You did that
Yep.
really quickly.
That's-
Thank you.
Yep. But I think it's a good point. not only that, it's a nice round number of $2.50, right? But I mean, just in terms of having that conversation, I think having a conversation with any of these municipalities could go almost exactly how it went this evening. So I won't belabor the point, but just to say, look, we are adding 20 cents to that. We're gonna tell you exactly where that 20 cents is going and why. And I think that's, when you consider that we're the
It's a
ones.
good conversation. It says, hey, we're just going to a break-even point. With the extra 20 cents will go to a reserve for emergencies.
I'm fine with that.
And if it doesn't get used, that goes towards a new shelter. It's all going towards, this is not for, you know, the town of Bucksport capital account.
Yes.
Motion and second, any other questions? Comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Resolve 2026-94, approving the Animal Control Services Agreement between the town of Bucksport and the town of Verona Island.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Just again reiterating that it's gonna be helpful to have a more comprehensive contract, to sort of protect Bucksport's interests as far as the ambiguity that was in the existing contract. I think it's just really, it makes sense. We talked about this at committee tonight, for folks who didn't catch the meeting. And we've Jacob and team have created a longer, more comprehensive animal shelter, services agreement that covers things such as the hours that animal control officer is required to service other towns. It clears up sort of liability issues, disaster issues, what happens when there's no power and things like that. So it just puts Bucksport in a position where we're protected a little more from unclear pieces of the work.
Anything to add, Jacob?
No,
Not
I
to
would
put you on the
just,
spot.
yep, like I said, at the committee, this is something that staff have been working on for a little while and something that the town of Verona had identified as wanting to do, and we'd like to just try it on a trial basis in the interim. It would be eventually an annual fee of $5,000. That would initially be prorated under this first term from February 1 to June 30th. But again, try it on a trial basis to see what sort of an impact it has and go from there.
I should have asked this during committee, but Chief Winchester, can we get frequent or occasional updates on how it's going for animal control officer and how it's working and all that?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do you have a motion to second? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. 2026-95, appointing a member to the planning board for a term expiring March 31st, 2026. I will note here that the recommendation from the committee was for Max Corwin. What I'm about to say is not a reflection on Mr. Corwin, because I'm about to say the same thing on the next one. The council is not bound to that recommendation. I feel it's my job to point that out. But that is the recommendation from committee, is Max Corwin for the planning board term expiring on March 31st, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions?
Just a point of information that the motion is for Max.
Yes.
Correct.
Questions? Comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Same disclaimer for this next person. The resolve 2026-96 is to appoint a member to the planning board for a term expiring March 31st of 2028. The recommendation from the services committee was for Melissa Osborne.
Motion to approve. Melissa Osborne.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Almost went past it, even though I promised myself I wouldn't forget. And resolve 2026-97 to approve the 2026 town dock and marina dockage rates.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Town managers report.
Thank you. Good evening, council. The town has received a letter from the Bucksport Bay Healthy Communities Coalition advising that the organization will dissolve effective March 31, 2026, due to ongoing capacity challenges, reduced grant funding, and a lack of volunteers. BBHCC noted the continued need for services supporting the aging population and indicated that over the next 3 months, it will respond to inquiries, gather data on aging-related needs, and coordinate with other local nonprofits to identify service gaps. BBHCC has requested to appear before the council in April to present its findings, and they also thanked the town for its long-standing support. And I would just add to that BBHC, I think it's 35 years that they've been around, and they've done a lot of good work over that 35 years. Orland Ambulance, the town has received a letter from the town of Orland requesting a meeting with staff to discuss the proposed FY27 ambulance services agreement. And I have asked the mayor to attend that meeting as well. Orland has not yet confirmed a date or a time, but we will certainly keep the council posted. The town's go-live date with Trio Web is Tuesday, February 3rd. And just as a reminder that this change will allow residents to pay their property tax bills and sewer bills online, which is something that's been identified as a need for a while now. The town has been notified that the new ambulance that was ordered in 2023 will be delivered to Rumford sometime between late January and early February. The vehicle will undergo a final punch list before being delivered to the town. And lastly, preliminary budget requests are being received from department heads. Finance Director and I are in the process of reviewing those requests and compiling the proposed budget. Budget meetings with department heads will be held in February in advance of the council's budget process beginning in March. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Do you have questions for the town manager? Councilor Hare.
More comments, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
So I was the counselor who attended the Bucksport Bay Healthy Communities Coalition meetings, and just worthy to note that this was one of Mary Jane Bush's babies. And I think Chief Winchester's here and Deputy Director Gagan. One of the highlights of that work was the service network provider meetings, which sort of began in COVID, and so it's been a really solid organization to the town. I did observe their efforts to prevent this from happening, and they put in a lot of legwork with other nonprofits just to explore if there was a feasible way forward. And so while I'm saddened that they couldn't find a way forward, the effort certainly was put in, and this has not been an easy decision for any of the board. They had recently onboarded new board members, and we also, Vanessa's in the room in a different capacity, but I just wanted to thank Vanessa for her years, for her time of service there as their consultant as well. And I know this isn't their final day, but I just didn't want this to jump through the agenda without acknowledging just the impact that work has had on our community, and I suspect they'll probably outline some of that as they come back to us in April. Thanks.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Discussion of items not on the agenda for council and public. We will start with the public. Mr. Chapman.
Yes, good evening, council members. My name is Ralph Chapman, and I'm here this evening on behalf of the town's Community Resilience Committee, of which I'm the chair. The committee, I'll give you just a very, very brief update, and I'm happy to go into more detail at any time as you wish. But I do have a request, and that's the reason why I'm here. The committee has been working over the past year and trying to identify, the committee was formed by the council to be able to be part of the Governor's Office of Policy Innovation in the Future's Community Resilience Program. And we have done that. The council passed a resolve that was necessary to become a member of that partnership, and that's a partnership, Community Resilience Partnership. And Becoming a part of that partnership gives the town an eligibility to apply for funding from the state to implement projects of its choosing in a wide range of potential areas. The committee, through its processes, has identified the projects of interest. There was a funding deadline at the end of last August that we did not choose to put an application in for because we wanted to align the application for the state funding in a manner that would fit the timing of also being able to apply to the Island Institute's fellowship program in order to hire an Island Institute fellow. Now, the advantage to the town of hiring an Island Institute fellow is that one gets an employee, somebody to do some work in furthering the project of interest at lower cost. The Island Institute shares the cost of the person, and the Island Institute provides what I'll call the human resource function, so that it's outsourcing the human resource aspects of taking care of the hire. Those are the advantages of having an Island Institute fellow. By the way, the Island Institute serves not only the islands, but the coastal communities, what's called the marine economy in the state of Maine. And Bucksport, being a coastal community, is eligible to apply to the Island Institute fellowship program for an Island Institute fellow. Now, there's still a question as to whether the scheduling is going to work out right, because this town changed its the state changed its schedule for when applications would be available and be due in the next funding cycle from the governor's office of Policy, Innovation, and the Future. And we believe at this time that application period opens in March and ends in May. The fellow, an application to get an Island Institute fellow, the deadline for that is at the end of this month, and the fellow would start in September. So the reason why I'm here before you tonight is to seek your permission, if it's needed, for the committee to make application to the Island Institute fellowship program for an Island Institute fellow. Normally, the Island Institute asks for a commitment from the town or the entity asking for the fellow, financial commitment at the time of the application. I've explained to them that that's not possible for us because the entire idea behind the projects that the committee is working on is that it be funded through the grant funding from the state and not be a town added expense to any degree. Even explaining that to the Island Institute, they have encouraged the committee to submit an application for the fellow. And I interpret that to mean that depending upon the funding schedule of the state grant program and depending upon whether our application to the state is awarded such a grant, they would be able to juggle in whatever manner they do to decide whether would be able to get a fellow. But I think that it's best to put it in their hands rather than decide ourselves to abandon the effort. So, having said all of that, my request to the council is to provide authority to the Community Resilience Committee to make application to the Island Institute Fellowship Program for an Island Institute Fellow. Any questions?
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
My only concern would be that you or somebody looks over this, so we're not committing the town for any financial or any commitment of any kind that we're not aware of. That would be my only concern.
Just for a point of reference, what is the cost?
Oh, the Island Institute Fellow is $14,500 for the first year and $15,000 for the second year. It's a two-year 2-year program. The grant process through the Governor's Office of Policy Innovation in the Future is for a $75,000 grant to launch what's called an energy coaching program, similar to programs that exist in several other communities around the state. And those funds, the $75,000, I believe, does not include an additional 5% or something that's intended to be to cover administrative costs, if any, that are borne by the town that are not direct expenses, but if there's some added time on the part of a town employee or something to help cover that. I did not. I'm sorry, I did fail to mention that members of the committee. There are 8 members on the Community Resilience Committee. Councilor Hare is one of those committee members, and Rich Rotella, the Community and Economic Development Director, is another member of the committee. The Island Institute asks for identifying the person of the town that would be primarily responsible for the fellow. And the committee identified that would be Rich Rotella. But the committee is endeavoring to have a secondary, an additional person, which fits the Island Institute's outline, to take on most of the actual work of that, so that we're trying to not burden our committee member, who's the town employee, with more responsibilities than he already has.
So is there anything required from us on this?
Well, I mean, I think I agree with Councilor Rankin that it would be good if we just can get
Right.
something concrete that says they're not gonna come after us from some sort of financial commitment at the start. I'd like to get that in writing somehow, and then I think that should be good from there.
Okay. Any issues though from the council in terms of
No issue.
philosophical or anything? I just wanna make sure I'm not skipping anything.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, Ralph. So the application can be submitted without council approval, or do you need council approval prior to submitting an application?
To me, that's up to council. I do not know.
How
I
you,
mean, the council formed the committee,
Yeah.
and I know that the committee is not authorized to spend any town funds or
Sure.
commit any town funds. So I'm not asking for any additional authority, but since the committee is intending to make application for the fellow next week, I want to give the council an opportunity to weigh in, and whether it's a requirement or not, I'm not enough familiar with town policy to know whether it is or not.
I would just say that historically, the council's role has been accepting grants and not approving applications.
Okay, that's what.
Typically, when we are awarded a grant, that goes to the council, before we sign off on the approval, the council approves it. So to simply apply for a grant has historically not required council approval.
So it seems like you could put the application in for the fellow, and you're not committing to monies up front unless you accept that at that point. Does that seem like the structure?
I don't believe that the committee would be making any commitment whatsoever. If
That's my
the
understanding
Island
of that.
Institute allows us to fund it through future grant funding, and we get the future grant funding, then there would be a commitment, but that would be a commitment that the town would make to the Island Institute, not
So the application is
committee.
not a commitment.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, that's clear. Okay.
And part of the application actually asks the question of what is the there's a question in the application and it says, is the entity willing to commit to these dollar amounts, yes or no, or other? And under other, I say, no, the town is not prepared to commit to the funds. That the funds, if they're available, is expected to be available if a grant is awarded in a future grant application from the state.
Yeah.
And
It does.
I'm happy, Mr. Town Manager, to include you as a recipient of the draft application, which I'm about to send to the other committee members for their input to finalize it next week. If you'd like me to do that, I can certainly do that.
Please, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Anyone else from the public? From the council? All right. Let's see, committee assignments and scheduling for next time.
Have goals and objectives on the 5th, I believe.
Yes. 6 o'clock.
6:30.
6, that's right.
On the 5th.
Yes.
Yep, so Thursday, the 5th, 6:30 is our goals and objectives meeting. Prior to the meeting, our next council meeting on the 12th, do we have any committee meetings that need to occur now?
What's that? Yes, if we do the tanker loan, we would need a finance
Finance committee,
committee. Yes, thank you, Rachel.
so 2/12, 6:30. Good enough for that on the 12th?
6:45.
6:45 on February the 12th.
For the goals and objectives will be the same as last year. We'll submit ahead of time. You send it,
Yep,
you'll send out something to us.
I was just thinking about that today. Yeah, so and I'm glad you asked that question, actually. Yeah, so basically I'll just send out similar to last year, but it will just be what are your major goals, et cetera. I'll put them all together. As a matter of fact, what I was thinking about today was putting together another form, and then people could fill that out, and then it would compile itself, but I'll catch up with you at the very beginning of next week on that.
Yep.
But yep, we'll try to make it as painless as possible, and then we can kind of stack rank those, so that the council is easily able to identify, coming out of that session, here are our top, let's just say 5. Here are our top 5 priorities going into 2026, whatever those are, as well as perhaps a second 5 of here are our next group.
I think
But
that's
they were-
exactly what you did last year.
Perfect.
5 and 5, because your love of spreadsheets shine through.
Just call me a nerd, just say it. But yeah, well, yep, that should be fairly straightforward, and sometimes the best discussion is the stuff outside of the top. I think we're probably aligned on our top 2 or 3 priorities, but it's the conversation outside of that. And if I'm actually, what I'll try to, what I should be able to do is also include any notes from last year. I think that would be helpful for Councilor Doty, but also all of us too. Just here's what we talked about last year as well, so we can kind of keep track of where things are.
And I have drafted a status report of
Perfect.
what the council's highest ranked goals were last year and what the status of those is. So I'll send those out to you this week.
Perfect, thank you. Any other committee meetings? Okay.
I think so.
If there is nothing else, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Before we do that, I just thought of something. I really want to thank the Reach School. They had me over last week. They have a civics class at the Reach School. I'd have kicked myself if I hadn't remembered this, so I apologize. There's a civics class at the Reach School. They invited one of our police officers, and I was there to speak for an hour, and I don't think I bored them to tears, but the questions were great. There were questions about ranging from history, some history stuff in Bucksport, as well as like how do we plow roads and who's responsible for that, and just how does it all work. So it was really fun and some challenging questions, so I thank you for that. Outside of that, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.